start with the hanging lock with a pin. As you can see, it is closed. Let's take an ordinary screw, insert it into the well, and begin to tighten it smoothly with the screwdriver. It's not that hard. When the screw fits tightly inside, we take a crowbar and pry it, pull it, and pull the mechanism itself out of the lock together with the screw. The mechanism is outside, which means nothing will prevent us from opening the lock. To open an ordinary suspension lock, you will need 2 wrenches. Hook them on the shackle and start spreading on opposite directions. And here are some examples of how it works in real life. Even on the door, or even on a gate. And if the lock is too big, add an extra stop between the keys. A little more complicated, but the lock still tends itself. This method also works with combination lock. If the lock does not give in, try to change the position of the key so that the pressure is directed to the upper part of the shackle. He will definitely not resist this. And yes, this method will work with the padlock, although it takes much more effort than all previous locks. This method is universal, but after that, the lock will already be decommissioned. And here's another way to open such locks. To begin with, we'll fasten it. And now, we need a gas burner. Unscrew the gas to the full and then install the burner directly opposite of the lock. This method will take a decent amount of time, so it's better to fix the balloon in place. Gradually, the flame will burn all the paint and then begin to heat up the metal of which the lock consists. When the temperature becomes critical, the lock will gradually melt and crumble. It will only be necessary to help him a little with the wrench. That's it. The lock is open. And here is the metal that has fallen to the ground. It was aluminum or another fusible metal. However, with the steel lock, this trick is unlikely to work. Now, something more interesting. We have handcuffs next. Throw away the key and lock them on my wrist for the purity of the experiment. As you can see, everything is reliable. Now, we need a regular hairpin, or rather an en-bloc metal plate. Driving it into the groove, we will push the fastening off the handcuffs off of it and they will open. It's even easier to do it with a free hand. Overlapping the thread inside, the barrette does not allow the handcuffs to function normally. That's all. And next, we have a combination lock. And that's how it works. We'll pull a shackle 180 degrees, Click on it and make a random combination of numbers. After that, we pay attention to the shackle and close the lock. Rearrange the numbers and the lock is closed. To open it, first align the numbers and pull the lock. Lock it in this position. We check the reels. The drum moves freely, then the digit is not part of the code. And if it is tight, then you guess the number. Now, you need to find the right number for each reel. It may take some time. Until the castle finally opens, and most importantly, after that, the castle will remain intact. And now, we'll show you how to make a lockpick from an aluminum can. We will need such a small plate on which we make 2 shallow incisions, bend the sides, round off the central part with scissors. Now, let's close our test lock with the key. We drive our master key into the mechanism of the shutter of the shackle. You will need to make an effort, but the lock will open. If the lock has 2 locks, then we will need 2 lock pins. As you can see, combination lock has a similar shutter mechanism. So, let's check our lockpick on it too. As you can see, combination lock has a similar shutter mechanism, so let's check our lockpick on it too. It's a little more complicated because of the shape of the shackle, but this lock also lends itself. In addition, it retains its working capacity. Let's take a hammer and a single bolt lock. Let's hit the castle hard with the hammer. On the second attempt, it opens. And at the same time, maintains integrity. Let's try it again and again. Success! Let's check on the lock with 2 locks. Unfortunately, no matter how much we beat, the lock remains firmly closed. Take an ordinary paper clip and straighten one of its ends. Now, we will need pliers for fine work. We create this shape. We fold the second paper clip in this way and bend the loop. Here is such a master key we have turned out. Let's check it in practice. When the key enters the well, its thread lines up all the cylinders in a row and the lock opens. We will be able to achieve this with a little help of our tool. It's not as simple as it looks, but it works. Let's do it with the opaque lock. We had to work blindly, but we succeeded. As you can see, this is a very painstaking and time-consuming work. In order to do it faster, you will have to get the hang of it. But then, any lock will give in to you. Such master key can be made from a hair clip. She will work exactly on the same principle, not all inferior to her colleague. Let's take an inexpensive padlock and close it. From the side of the mechanism, we will gradually scrape off the top layer of zinc with the screwdriver. At some point, you will see the silhouettes of the cylinders on the body. Now, let's take a thin drill and start sawing the cylinders. After that, the mechanism will simply crumble. It remains only turn the weld with the screwdriver and the lock will open. Some locks can be opened with the kitchen knife. By inserting it at the right angle, you will easily push through all the cylinders. It remains only the crank and the lock will open. Of course, it is more difficult to do this blindly, but with proper skill, any lock will give in to you. With this method, the locks do not break, so you can continue to use them. Let's take a pin and cut off its head. We will push a pin into the well and try to find the cylinders. Then, we will put a screwdriver and try to turn it with effort. The lock is open. Let's try again and again with success. And now, we will show you how to copy keys with improvised tools. The key role in the key is played by its carving. Let's heat the key with the lighter. When it is covered with a dark layer, we will attach a sticky tape to it and remove this dark layer. The drawing was printed on the tape, and now we will transfer it to a plastic card. Using scissors, we will cut out the key according to the silhouette, paying special attention to the carving. Now we have an extra copy. Let's check it out. The lock opens on the first attempt. Such a copy can be made from a jar, a bottle, and a battery, and also from 4 layers of paper or even 10 layers of ordinary tape. For copies made of soft materials, we will bring it to the fire, as you can see. It does not burn, only gradually melts. Then we'll take the ashes and dip the sugar into it. We bring it to the fire again, and this time the sugar starts to burn. Even if you remove it from the candle, the fire does not disappear, and the sugar is covered with the crust and then completely explodes. That's how it was. But sometimes sugar can burn out without exploding. Why do you think it started burning at all? Fill the glass with refined sugar to the top. And then completely immerse in it warm water. After a while, some of the sugar dissolved in the water and some remain lying in the bottom. Now, add a little potassium permanganate to the liquid. As you can see, it stays on the surface without sinking to the sugar at the bottom, even if we start to stir it. In ordinary water, potassium permanganate immediately attends to the bottom and mixes with water. No matter how much we interfere, the result is the same. And after 20 minutes, the liquid turns brown at all. Although half with sugar does not change, let's try adding green dye to one glass and iodine to another. Stir and get the same result as with potassium permanganate. And now there will be a trick. Look carefully. Let's make a number and write it on a sugar cube. We throw it into the water and stir it. Now, hold our hand over the water and the number miraculously appears on the palm of your hand. And here's the secret. We just print a number with the sugar on our finger, and then we put it in the palm of a person. That's all. Let's take a balloon and the funnel. With this help, we will pour sugar inside. Let's take a bottle of soda and pull our balloon on the neck. Try not to spill the sugar. Now we start and watch how the foam and gas quickly fill the ball. Oops! It's not easy to keep it up. Let's try it with other sodas. After all, the most powerful thing came out with cola. But now, we see that balloons inflated with gas stand and on the bottles exactly. Put a wooden board on a baking sheet and pour little sugar on top. Now add dry potassium permanganate to it. We mix these substances with the wooden stick and then we begin to crush them, turning them into a homogeneous dust. A little more pressure and a fire breaks out. What a powerful flame! In no case, do not repeat it at home. This is a very dangerous experiment. Let's take some food wrap and make 2 identical squares of it. Pour about 2.5 tablespoons of sugar on each. Add a 1/4 spoonful of starch to one of the squares. Mix and begin to wrap in the bag. We will tie it with the thread several times for reliability. We do the same with the second film, but with the thread of a different color. Cut off the excess and put both bags in a bowl of water for 30 minutes. And then take them out. Now add iodine to the container with water and dissolve it. We will hang our bags over the solution and cover them with the lid. After 12 hours, changes are visible. Pour out the sugar for clarity. With pure sugar, almost nothing happened. But sugar mixed with starch acquired an ashen color. In a bowl, pour a few spoons of powdered sugar, and then add a little soda. Now we pour our sand on a baking tray and pour alcohol on it so that it gets soaked. Pour our mixture on top, level it, and ignite the alcohol. A chemical reaction immediately begins. The mixture begins to turn into a black mushroom-like appendicus, like monsters from TV series of One of Us. It looks creepy, but at the same time, fascinating. And that's what remains in the end. There's a charm in this figure. Let's take sulfuric acid and very carefully begin to impregnate refined sugar with it. Add a little bit and the sugar gradually begins to turn black. Continue until all the sugar turns black. Now we just watch. We see how the liquid begins to flow out of the sugar, and then it begins to deform and grow, faster and faster. Gas is already starting to be released, and the sugar itself seems to be boiling. Finally, the reaction is completed, turning the sugar into a soft, sticky black mass. It's time to conduct a larger experiment. Fill the glass jar with granulated sugar about halfway up, and now let's move on to the most dangerous part. Pour the sulfuric acid inside and start stirring everything as quickly as possible until the reaction begins. Now it only remains to observe from a safe distance. Again, the substance begins to gradually turn black, and then gas and smoke appear, after which a huge black something begins to crawl out. Somewhat resembles a slug from outer space, causes ambiguous emotions. As you can see, the mass has risen much higher than the volume occupied by sugar and acid. Let's take a closer look. Wow, this thing is hot. Break off a piece. As you can see, it crumbles easily in your hands.